Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan. 105 through the fan. Hello, reporting from the American Airlines Center. To my right, Nick Angstadt, Locked On Mavericks. After the Mavericks get a 108-92 win, a 7-3 start, the first 7-3 start since the 2014-2015 season. So the Dallas Mavericks get a 108-92 win, move to 5-1 at home. Nick, your initial thoughts on how the Mavericks performed tonight? I thought Frank Ntilikina was really good. Luka Doncic did Luka Doncic things. What was your initial thoughts on how this team performed tonight?
Yeah, get the win is a really interesting way to put it, right? I mean, they got it. I'm not sure they fully earned it at times during this game, but yeah, I mean, Luka just took over at certain points in this game where you're like, okay, Luka doing Luka things, hitting shots. He every once in a while he gets into like a-hole Luka territory where he's like, I'm just gonna take this ball and I'm gonna go shoot it and I'm gonna go score. So that I think was kind of a big difference in this game. KP in the second quarter had a really good run, but I think the big story from this game is KP playing at the 5 and playing a 5 and playing two bigs and all that stuff. The Mavericks had a 20-point lead, and then Jason Kidd decided to put in Boban with KP, and it just dwindled down to like what? It got to 8-6 at one point in the fourth quarter. And so I think it's that lineup, and I think that's going to be the big thing we're going to be talking about for the next, I don't know, until Jason Kidd decides to put KP at the 5 more often.
It's interesting because when you look at how the Mavericks played, out-rebounded the Pelicans 46-39, 27 assists, had 3 blocks, but it felt like they let this Pelicans team kind of hang around quite a bit. You know, they didn't close the way that you wanted them to. I thought Frank Ntilikina really gave them a big lift in the second quarter. He was a plus 12. Tim Hardaway was really good tonight, got on track in terms of the three-point line. In a lot of ways, it felt like the Mavericks did a lot of the things you would want them to do to win games, but it still didn't feel like a team that when you start looking at them at 7-3, as far as them being right now, you know, one of the top 3 teams record-wise in the Western Conference, that you have a lot of confidence. But someone had tweeted me earlier, said, look, the way that we talk about this team, it feels like we're talking about them as a 3-7 team when they're actually a 7-3 team. What's your sense of how this team is performing now that we're 10 games in, and what you want them to be relative to what their expectations were coming in?
Yeah, well, Jason Kidd said something interesting after the game and said that I don't look at stat sheets during the game, right? And you kind of get that feeling, and I can understand some fans go down the Kevin Durant train of like, why would I want to look at a chart or graphs during a hoops conversation, right? Like, you understand that. But coming into this game, the Mavericks, according to Cleaning the Glass, were 22nd ranked on offense, 22nd ranked on defense, and they were 6-3 coming into this game. So you're like, okay, what does that mean? They're pretty well below average on both sides of the ball. So what we've seen doesn't match up with the record that the Mavericks have earned or gotten so far, right? It's that earned versus gotten like idea. And so I think that's the disconnect between some fans that are like, why are you guys talking about them like they're this 3-6 team or 3-7 team instead of a 7-3 team. There's a big difference in the way that they look and the way that they perform. Now, they've gotten to this point, they've won these games because they're 4-0 in clutch games. I don't think this game didn't come down to a clutch game because it didn't get to 5 points at the end, but Mavericks have been able to win some of these close games. Luka's been doing great stuff. Brunson's been doing some great stuff in the fourth quarter. And that's really been the difference so far for the Mavericks, is they've won those clutch games and they haven't blown any of them yet, right? Which is just a huge thing for them.
So when you look at this team now, obviously Jalen Brunson's playing with a lot of confidence right now. You got Kristaps Porzingis back. He played a couple of games after missing 5, with the low back tightness. I thought he had some good moments in this game also. Now this team gets ready to go on the road to take on, the Chicago Bulls, and it starts playing some better opponents going forward. Do you think that this team, relative to what we've seen through them for the first 10 games, gives us a good indication of they're on the right track as Jalen Brunson talked about at the end of the game, after a 7-3 record? Or is there still things that you look from a improvement perspective that things really have to change in order to give you the kind of confidence to think that this is a team that could legitimately be a top 4 or 5 team in the Western Conference this year?
Yeah, this team has to do a lot more, right? They have to shoot the ball better. They finally had a second game where they shot 40% from 3 in this one against the Pelicans. Now, we're going to talk about this Pelicans game and the Celtics game, but they didn't have their best players, right? No Zion, no Ingram in this game, no Jalen Brown in the Celtics game before that. So the Mavericks have been able to duck some of these guys. But coming up, there's this stretch that like you're playing the Bulls, they're playing the Spurs again, but then they played Nuggets, Phoenix twice, and Clippers twice. That stretch right there, I think, is a really good litmus test for this team because they've gotten smoked by good teams and they've beaten the bad teams like really close, right? They've had those 4 clutch games against teams that are just not that good. So that is a good litmus test. Shout out to our friend Skin over. Hi, Jeff Skin Wade, screaming from all the way across the arena.
This is going to be great for the video. This is going to be awesome.
Everyone can see him online for sure. But I think that's a big litmus test for this team. That stretch coming up, and we'll know by the end of November 23rd. So, like by Thanksgiving, we'll know if this team is good or not, right? Because I don't know at this point. I still can't decide.
So I'm going to give some stars of the game real quick. We said Frank Ntilikina, who I thought was really good. He was a plus 26 tonight. Him and Jalen Brunson combined to be plus 24. So Jalen Brunson was plus 26. Ntilikina was plus 24. They combined to be a plus 50 tonight. I thought Tim Hardaway Jr., 4 or 5 from the three-point line, really got things going in the second half. Reggie Bullock played well. He was 5 of 7, 2 or 3 from the three-point line. A lot of guys did a lot of good things. Who, in essence, was a star of the game or two for you that when you look at how the Mavericks got this win tonight, you say, hey, this player really got things going for the Mavericks and really did some good things to help them get this 16-point win tonight?
Well, I mean, the star of every game is Luka, right? Like, I mean, he just is, right? Yeah. 25 points, 5 and 5 for him. Another 25 and 5 game. He's had, I don't know, has he ever not had a 25 and 5 game?
Has the most 25 and 5 games ever in Mavericks history.
Yeah, so he's had a ton of them. So it's him and Brunson for me. They were the ones that when the offense just wasn't going, they were able to make stuff happen. I think that was a big key. They're probably the 2 stars. We try to find these like, oh, who's like a star nobody talks about, but it's those 2 guys over and over again. Mm-hmm. Reggie Bullock said that Brunson is the head of the snake for that second unit, and they go as he goes basically. And they said we go out, we follow his lead basically in that second unit. Bullock I thought had a good game too, 12 points. Off the bench there, and he had some good moments. But it's Brunson and Luka that just make everything happen on offense. And KP could have maybe been a star of the game. That second quarter, he was real good. Yeah. And then just after that, we just saw nothing from him almost the rest of the game until he hit that final 3.
So last thing I'll ask you this, because obviously now this team is 7-3, get a 16-point win at home. They've been good at home. They're now 5-1 at home, which is something over the last couple of years we could not say about this team not performing well at home. Does it concern you that through 10 games of the season that, and I think you would tend to agree, that Jalen Brunson's been the second best Maverick on this team so far this season? Does that concern you, the way that he's been able to really, not concerning in terms of elevating his game, but the fact that he is, I think, the second best player on this team? He started a couple games, played well, coming off the bench, doing his thing. How do you feel about Jalen Brunson being as important of a player as he's been so far through the first 10 games?
Yeah, does it concern me? No. For Jalen Brunson, it does not concern me. For Kristaps Porzingis, it does concern me, right? Because that's the guy that would be the other, maybe him or Tim Hardaway, I guess, could be the 2 guys that could take that title from JB. But Brunson is now – he's earned it, right? At the beginning of this, we talked about the difference between they got this win or they earned a win, and Brunson has really earned this second best player on the team. He has come in, take this season by storm. He's been able to literally win the Mavs games at times. That Spurs game, other games, that Brunson has just come in and been really good. He was second, tied for second in scoring in this game. So it's Brunson who came in and earned this spot, and he's gotten better every single year. He's got the trust with Luka. He talked about that after the game. I've earned that trust with Luka. That's a huge thing, and if you earn that trust from Luka, that's the thing that KP didn't do last year. He didn't earn that trust from Luka. He wanted it from Luka and didn't get it. That's why there was the throwing the hands in the air, and that's why the KP was standing and he was wide open and he was like, "Pass me the ball," and Luka's like, "I'm not gonna pass you the ball because this is a more high percentage shot." Me just throwing it up than KP trying to hit an open 3. But Brunson has actually earned it in the way that he's played, and I think that's huge, and it's massive. And so if KP can once more, if KP can get to that level, if KP can finally get to that place where he's playing at a star level, an all-star type level, then this team can start going places. But it's been all positive. I think that Brunson has come in and taken that title, I guess, or designation, I guess, of second best player, whatever we want to call it.
So the Mavericks get a 108-92 win, 7-3 on the season, 5-1 at home. They now go on the road to take on the Chicago Bulls and then the San Antonio Spurs. They'll take on the Denver Nuggets next Monday here at the American Airlines Center. But, hey, You couldn't ask for a better start, really. 7-3 through 10 games, 5-1 at home. They get a 108-92 win. Luka Doncic does Luka Doncic things. Frank Ntilikina was really good. Jalen Brunson continues to play with a lot of confidence. Nick, where can they find you at on Twitter, sir?
Oh, at Nick Van Exit on Twitter, still blocked by Nick Van Exel himself. And you can always listen to Locked on Mavs on YouTube and on any podcast platform.
If you are a Mavericks fan, you know what him and Isaac Harris do when it comes to Locked on Mavericks. Terrific stuff. Go find them on Twitter, on YouTube, Locked on Mavericks. Everything is terrific there for them.
And you can find Jeff Skin Wade all the way over there. Jeff Skin Wade!
This is going to be.
Now he's recording something and we're yelling.
Yeah, exactly. You can find me on Twitter at Kevin Gray Sports, and of course on 105 through the Fan, your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers. Mavericks get a 108-92 win at home, move to 7-3 on the season, 5-1 at home.